Verdicts are in, but we're far from the end of the line in a controversial federal trial making national headlines. The case is centered around this man, Luther Hall, an undercover St. Louis detective beaten during 2017 protests. News 4's Lauren Traeger looks at what's next.
Today we've learned the St. Louis police chief has renewed an internal investigation into that incident back in 2017 after he says the feds here asked him to delay it while their criminal case was ongoing. But that isn't the only legal issue that is still continuing surrounding what went down nearly 4 years ago.
I'd say he's slightly relieved right now.
Current St. Louis police officer Stephen Cordy looked to be holding back tears Monday. A free man acquitted on charges he beat up an undercover detective and lied to the FBI. The jury unable to reach a decision on former officer Dustin Boone, and while they found former officer Christopher Myers not guilty of the beating, they couldn't decide on whether he destroyed evidence. Today, the prosecution hasn't yet said if they will retry those charges.
If they choose to pursue it, we'll be ready for that as well, and we would expect another acquittal.
Prior to trial, former officer Randy Hayes had pleaded guilty and on the stand admitted he struck Luther Hall. He's scheduled to be sentenced Friday and faces up to 10 years in prison. While he claimed he had hoped for leniency in exchange for testifying against the others, that is ultimately up to the court.
I certainly hope that the judge takes into consideration some of the obvious lies that Mr. Hayes told in this case.
Meanwhile, another former officer, William Olston, is scheduled to start trial Monday for allegedly assaulting protesters with pepper spray without warning around the same time as Hall's beating. Prosecutors say the incident caught on camera, including partly here.
There was no dispersal order. Why did you spray me?
And there are many lawsuits stemming from those same protests as well. Arch City defenders tweeting Tuesday, quote, "We represent over a dozen individuals who were terrorized, assaulted, and arrested the same night Luther Hall was. They experience continued trauma to this day as verdicts like this make it clear they are not safe."
In America, there's two different systems. There's a one for people like me, and there's one for everyone else.
The verdicts in this federal trial, not the outcome for which activists had hoped, with some saying it highlights need for changes to police policy and protocol and the system as a whole. Some continuing to note the jury was comprised of 9 white males, 2 white females, and 1 black female. The defense attorneys saying it was all just about the facts. Made something of the race of the jurors. Do you think that had any impact?
None whatsoever.
An attorney that represents both Hayes and Olston couldn't be reached for comment today. Luther Hall himself has also remained silent. He was here after the verdict was read at the courthouse, but we have not spoken with him, and a friend says he is simply devastated by those verdicts. We also wanted to talk with the St. Louis police chief on camera to get his thoughts about all of this, but so far that interview request has not been accommodated. At the federal courthouse, Lauren Traeger, News 4.